All right. This issue has been brewing. The Public Utility Workers Union, they've taken a swipe at the Ghana Water Company Limited for its involvement in the agreement of desalination development to help transform seawater into potable water for Teshi and its environs. I mean, why are they speaking now? Because this has been a project that's been ongoing for a while now. I've been joined by Michael Edumata Nyantechi, who's the Deputy General Secretary of the Public Utilities, that's PUWU. He's joined us in the studio now. The Public Utility Workers Union. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Help us understand your position.
Well, our position as workers is very simple. The welfare of the company is our concern. If the company is not in existence, we don't have work to do. So anything that affects the progress of the company is of a matter of concern to us as workers. And we have seen this project, which was commissioned early this year, started operating from February. And from the operations, we have now become aware of the terms governing the contract, which we find it very unacceptable and is inimical to the welfare of Ghana Water Company Limited. And that is why we are raising this attention. And although the agreement was signed by Ghana Water Company, it also have some governmental influence because it was an agreement which also received the parliamentary approval as well as a guarantee from the Minister of Finance. And because the terms are not favorable to Ghana Water Company, we are calling on the appropriate authorities. And in this wise, we think that it's the highest office of the land that can intervene in this matter to make sure that some revision is made to make the agreement workable and less burdensome on Ghana Water Company.
Why would Ghana Water Company agree to something that's not beneficial to it?
Well, it's a very difficult question for me to answer. And it's also a little strange that you go into an agreement where you realize that by the terms of the agreement, it's either going to make the company not able to operate efficiently or is going to be a big burden for the company.
Can you explain that bit to us?
Yes. The bit why we think is such a burden for the company is, let me just mention a few issues about this agreement, which we see it as very crucial to the survival of the company going forward. One here is a private company, the BEFESA Desalination Company, Ghana Limited. It's a private company who has gone into this kind of a PPP arrangement. Now, Ghana Water is paying the cost of electricity for the running of the plant for the private operator. So averagely on every month, Ghana Water pays about 1.4 million Ghana cedis for electricity.
Who owns the plant?
It's a private entity.
Okay.
Private company, BEFESA Ghana Limited. But now they produce the water and sell the water to Ghana Water Company.
And Ghana Water would pay their electricity bill in addition to buying the water?
In addition to buying the water. And not just buying the water, they buy the water by the terms of the agreement at a very high cost that Ghana Water, because of the PURC arrangement, cannot sell the water at even a break-even cost. Ghana Water, by the terms of the agreement, buys the water at the cedi equivalent of $1.50 and can only sell the water under the current PURC approved tariff of 59 cents cedi equivalent. Look at the difference. So from every meter cube you are making such a huge loss.
Could it be that that is how it's supposed to be sold for? I mean, that's the market price. How much BEFESA is selling to Ghana Water, except that Ghana Water is unable to sell it at that same price or even higher because of the regulations.
Okay, so granted that even they have done their costing and thought that this is the economic rate, then the big question is, who pays for the big difference? Because Ghana Water is not an NGO. It's a going concern. So if cumulatively you are going to incur this loss, who pays for it? The consumer is not made to pay. Government is not paying. Ghana Water has no fund set aside to cover this difference. So how is this gap going to be filled?
But you say that Ghana Water signed, this whole agreement.
Yes. The agreement you've seen was signed by the former managing director.
Is Ghana Water complaining? Is Ghana Water complaining?
Ghana Water is complaining, officially having made a formal position. But because we are key stakeholders and know the implication of the agreement on the company, we believe also that we cannot run away. Managements are put in place by political appointments. Even when something may not be very right, we find it in our part of this country getting appropriate authorities to stand up and speak as it ought to be. Many times because of the fear of either your position being taken away or some political pressure brought to bear, some of these things happen.
What's your understanding of what might have happened for, a whole managing director to append his signature to an agreement that's not beneficial to the company that he manages? Is it perhaps because somebody pushed him to, or he didn't read the terms of the agreement?
That's only the inference we can make, for we don't have any facts to that. But the inference we can only draw from all the facts around this agreement is that maybe some political force or some pressure was brought to bear, because I can't fathom how, if you are in charge of your own company, you can go into an agreement with this kind of terms that you know will ultimately affect the progress of the company. But once it's a public entity and there are a lot of these political interference, we can only make those assumptions that perhaps some political interest or some bigger hand was forced on the management to do these things.
Now you're calling on these same politicians who probably, did something underground to get this agreement signed to do something about it. Yes, realistically, can anything happen?
We are calling on them because these agreements, at the time they were being prepared, not many people knew about these terms, even from the workers' perspective. We only came into the picture when the plant started operating and we started seeing the effects of the agreement.
So isn't it perhaps too late?
I don't think so. Agreement is a contract, and any contract, once it's put in place, should have some provisions for review. So we are not saying that the contract should be abrogated, but we are saying that the terms of the contract are so burdensome on the company that some revision. For instance, why should the private man doing his business not pay for his electricity?
Is that provision from what you've read of a review? Because what we don't want is another judgment debt because we pulled out of a certain agreement.
Yeah, so that's why we are calling on government to use its influence to call the private operator, sit at a round table. We don't want any
Ms.
kind of
say
revolution.
I am the private person.
Yes.
And I've got this cool deal which is running.
Yeah.
Do you believe that, I don't know what you're thinking, that I would agree to a change in the terms?
If you are a private operator and you are also interested in your business and you think that you are providing a service, in contract, if there is some issues affecting the agreement, the parties always sit around to discuss where there is good faith. I believe that it's possible to talk about some of the issues and be able to iron them out without going into the issue of a judgment debt. It's when one party takes a unilateral action to break the agreement or resolve for it, then you have these issues of judgment debt. And to add to the issues I was raising about the agreement, apart from the cost of also the paying for the high water, every month Ghana Water is supposed to pay a capacity charge of a little above 5.8 million Ghana cedis.
What is capacity charge? What does it mean?
Well, it's supposed to cover the loan that the private man got to build the plant.
Well, the desalination, what's that whole process about?
That whole process is taking the seawater, treating it, making it become potable for consumption.
Is this something that Ghana Water couldn't do?
I don't think, from my own perspective, it's the type of technology that any serious company trying to solve water problem should embark. Let me give an example. Recently, we heard of Togo making arrangement for Ghana Water to supply raw water from Pong to Togo for them to treat. If we can transport raw water from Pong to Togo, how difficult it is for us to take raw water from Pong to Teshinungwa and treat. Because the desalination process is high energy consuming. It's not a technology that many countries go into. Togo has nicer in terms of how the beaches are than many of the beaches here. So the pollution of the seawater, if you compare what we have at Teshinungwa to Lome Beach, why wouldn't they take the seawater from Lome and treat?
But they still come for ours.
They are coming for fresh water from us. Look at the distance.
Do we know how much it's costing them? Is it similar? Have we seen the kind of payments that they are making?
Oh, the Togolese.
The Togolese, yes.
No, it's arrangement which is yet ongoing, so we can't work all day. But I'm just making a logical inference. So if we needed to provide water to Nungua and its environment, which is critical, at least we should have looked at the option of treating fresh water from the Volta and piping them to this area than this desalination approach.
Okay. You've been making this call since yesterday. Has anybody, from the high places?
Well, as a union, we had formally written a petition to the government, and we are hoping that government will look at the issues we've raised and then call the parties.
If they don't?
Well, if they don't, first and foremost, we should understand that Ghana Water Company is a state entity, but at the same time is the major company providing water to the whole of the greater population of this country. If the company goes down, it doesn't affect only the politicians, it affects all of us as citizens.
Okay.
So we think it's an issue that all of us must show concern and try to use the necessary pressure to get government to get the right things done.
All right, okay. And on that note, with that said, I want to say thank you for your time. We're all sitting down and watching and hoping that somebody would respond to that petition that you forwarded.
And I will urge that we don't just sit down. Let us all raise the issue because it's a matter
Go to Parliament. Go to Parliament. They're back.
All of us.
Go to Parliament.
Yes.
Those are representatives.
We hope they are also listening and
you.
begin to see this as a critical issue.
All right. Mr. Michael Idumata Nyantechi is Deputy General Secretary of PUWC. Very important issues they are raising there with the contracts concerning desalination that the Ghana Water has signed with this private company. They want it reviewed because they say the terms are not good for Ghana Water, and in the end we will be losing out big time. All right, stay with us. We've got Talk with Roland Walker coming up next. You're still watching the AM show.